Chairman Ijaz Ahmed, distinguished panelists, delegates, Assalamu alaikum. I'm not sure how I can follow such a fantastic presentation by Mr. Qahir, but I will try to give you some things to think about. আমি খুব খুশি বাংলাদেশের সবচেয়ে মেধাবী স্টুডেন্টস তার এখানে দেখে। Judging by your applause, I think I got that somewhat right. First off, I'd like to thank Ijaz and the volunteers and staff of BYLC for organizing this summit. It is fantastic, and I congratulate you all. And good job, well done. Thank you also, Ijaz, for inviting me to join this distinguished set of panelists. After reading their biographies, I was like, you must have made a mistake. I don't think I have nearly as extensive experience as some of the individuals here who I respect and who I think are fantastic. I am truly honored and humbled to be joining you today and to be able to give you a few words. In my remarks this morning, I'd like to challenge two perspectives which we hold very conventional. The first is about our education, and the second is about our careers, because the topic of today is education and careers. Through this, I hope I can stir some disequilibrium in your minds. Those of you who have done BYLC will know the word disequilibrium. So if you were to ask your parents or your grandparents, you know, what is the path of life for you? I'm sure they would all say something very similar. They would say, beta, or beti as the case may be. I want you to go to college, and after college I want you to go to do a master's in engineering, or in law, or be a doctor. And this is always what you hear from your parents. Then I want you to get married and have a good life. So, what I'd like to tell you, that in today's dynamic world, we have to rethink this paradigm of education. In fact, what I'd like to tell you is that this paradigm of education, you know, bachelor's, master's, professional degrees, PhD, this linear paradigm is finished. The world we live in is no longer one where knowledge you learn today is entirely valid tomorrow. The pace at which new knowledge is being created, new knowledge is being generated, and new technology is coming into our availability, this rate is exponential. Therefore, the most critical thing in my view about education today is not what you learn, but how you learn, and actually where you learn. Developing an analytical mindset and problem-solving skills are the most critical aspects of living in a knowledge society, where you learn in the classroom, you learn outside of the classroom. You learn from your friends, you learn from your parents, you learn from your colleagues. You learn on various levels, various different things. Because indeed, what we live in is a knowledge society. As you think about what to do in the remaining years of your bachelor's degree, since I understand most of you are in that level, you have to keep in mind that the ability to think independently, to question, to remain curious, these are the skills that will take you the furthest in life. Let me assert this most forcefully. Think, question, remain curious. This does not mean that you should not pursue professional designations and degrees. Not at all. You know, expert knowledge is very critical to the functioning of a society. But you have to be aware, starting today, that when you complete your bachelor's degrees or your master's degree, your education will not be complete. It's just a starting point. You will need constant upgrading of your knowledge for the rest of your life. And it is only this analytical mindset, which I spoke about, that will enable you to remain at the top of your chosen profession. Beyond living in a knowledge society, we also live in what is called a meritocratic society. What does this mean? It means that more and more, it is our achievements that define our success, and not where we come from, who our parents are, our pedigree. It is what we do. It is your merit. You know, I understand there's 200 delegates over here, and you were selected from a group of 700 applicants. And these 700 applicants were what I would say self-selected from thousands who might have wanted to come here. Now, you are here because of your merit, your achievements, and your potential. And others are not here. This is the meaning of meritocracy. You can expect more and more of that in the future. The second conventional perspective I'd like to talk about and challenge is about our careers. The world we live in today is no longer one where you can join one company, become a professional, and live in that company for the rest of your life. I'm sure Mr. Shari can attest to this, because he was at BAT for 19 years, but then decided, let me have a career change. So even those of us that are, the model which existed 10 years ago, where you were one company for whole life, that model, that level of job security that people had, our parents had, our grandparents had, that level of job security no longer exists. So, just as this linear paradigm in education is finished, the linear paradigm in careers is also finished. So it's very likely that each one of you will have more than one career. You will change careers. Some of you will change it many, many times. And you may do that in the same sector, you may do that across sectors. But you should note that as Bangladesh develops, the needs of the society and the opportunities it offers will shift, they will change. And with this shift, it is paramount, it is very important for you as the future leaders of this great country to be able to shift with those changes in society. I'd like to give you the example of an inspiring individual who lived a life through many different careers, but one who was grounded in the principles and ideals of a knowledge society and a meritocratic society. This is American diplomat and statesman Richard Holbrooke, who recently passed away. So Holbrooke graduated with a degree not in diplomacy or in engineering, but in the liberal arts. After graduating, he had many careers in his life. He was a diplomat. He was known as the person who brokered the peace in Bosnia. He was a civil servant. He worked for many American presidents. In fact, every single Democratic US president since 1960. President Kennedy, President Johnson, President Carter, President Clinton, and President Obama. He worked for every one of them. He was a journalist as the editor of the Foreign Policy magazine, which is a very prominent magazine in the United States. He was a banker, earning millions of dollars on Wall Street through companies that he started and boards that he served on. He was an activist who set up the Global Council or Global Business Council on HIV/AIDS, malaria, TB. And he was an academic as a professor at Brown University. So as you can see, Richard Holbrooke was a remarkable person, but he had at least 6 different careers in his lifetime, and you can expect no less. So if I were to give you my own example, as Ijaz Bhai has asked me to, at the age of 30, and I'm afraid to give my age away, but at the age of 30, I've already had 4 different careers. Some have been short and some have been longer, but they have all built on my abilities, my skills, and built upon them on themselves. These have been in social development, social and economic development, in microfinance at a global level, in investment banking, and now in management consulting. Each of these experiences has given me greater insight and set me up for more interesting and more challenging opportunities, and they continue to do so. But throughout this period, what I have found is that they have been personally and professionally fulfilling. I've enjoyed what I did, and I think that the message of the panelists is that if you really enjoy what you do, you can accomplish anything. So my example is much more modest than Holbrooke's, but the messages are clear and consistent. We can no longer think of our careers today the way our parents and grandparents thought about them. Your ability to adapt, to learn new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, new ways of attaining knowledge will define your success in the future. So I say to you again, be prepared for change. Change in the way that you think, change in the way that you educate yourselves, change in the way your career will progress. Embrace this change. Enjoy this change. Enjoy it. And I have no doubt that all of you will be successful in whatever it is that you do. Dhanyavad.